never got in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
When I got married.
I mean, same. Like, you're just winging it. You're like, yeah.
I didn't even know that you had to like, fill paperwork out for workman's comp or have them as an employee and pay taxes.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah.
And when I got married to Alan, about a year after I moved here, he looks at all the accounts and the finances. He's like, dude, you're embezzling from yourself. What's that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I'm just cleaning, man. Like,
And he said, isn't your best friend a bookkeeper? And he said, I'm sending you away for the weekend. I don't want to see you until this resembles a legal business. And so that's what we did. And it was so stressful for me because that's not my thing.
Right.
I'm like, and my friend would ask me a question like, what was this expense on this date? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stop interrogating me. She goes, she literally goes, dude, I'm just asking a question. Like, I knew nothing.
Hey, this is Jordan Hill with the Dirt to Sky Business Podcast. And thank you, SMI Real Estate and Collier Law, for sponsoring this episode. I am really excited for today because I have Jackie here. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Good. Yeah. I've known you for a couple years now, year and a half.
Something like that.
Whenever I started
I feel like I've always
Toastmasters.
known you.
I know.
And I've always seen
you.
you.
Go way back.
Yeah.
But maybe just a year and a half.
Maybe.
But yeah. Pretty far back. But yeah. So everybody in town knows who you are, I feel like. Yes, they do.
In a good way.
In a good way. I met you at Toastmasters, and then what is your position at the Salem Chamber? You are in charge.
The Salem Chamber, thank God I'm not in charge. That's way too much work. I am the membership manager. So I am in charge of connecting with businesses who are interested in learning about what we do, and then just membership management and helping people get plugged in and utilizing their benefits.
Yeah. So a management position there. That's so awesome.
I get to talk to businesses all day. It's so much fun.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since January. So June.
Yeah.
I have to say that reference.
Wow.
6 months.
That's great. Awesome. And then you're also a business owner.
I am.
Yes. And what's the name of your business?
Jackie's Natural Cleaning Incorporated. For those who are incorporated, that means a lot.
What does that mean? Actually, some people listening.
You pay a lot more money. It costs you more money. It's just the way you pay taxes and such, and the liability.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about you, how long you've lived in Salem, kind of your journey leading up to opening your company.
Sure. So my story begins, I grew up actually in Tigard. And long story short, feel free to reach out if you want the full story. I got married when I was 20 to a military guy, moved to Eastern Washington. Then we got stationed in Wyoming, divorced. I hung out there for a while. And when I didn't know what I was going to do because I didn't have any formal education, a friend had asked me to clean his house because I was complaining about money. And he was like, I was like, okay,
yeah. All right.
I'm laughing because I am not a clean person. Even now, my husband
That's so funny.
is the one that cleans.
Yeah. You know what? You do it enough. So I get that.
Well, not anymore, which is nice. You would never know that I own a cleaning company. Anyway, so do as I say, not as I do. So I started cleaning and I learned through a lot of trial and error. My aunt had owned a cleaning company for, I think 40 years at that point. So I called her and asked her for advice on what to do.
Yeah.
So I took what she said and I just learned over the next handful of years. When clients would give me feedback, I would look at the feedback they were getting. And if it was them being particular, is what I like to say.
Yeah.
Picky. Or is it something I was actually missing? So I would compare those across the board at every house. And then I would realize if it was me or if it was just a way to learn how to engage with and interact with that client with their nuances.
Yeah.
From that point, after I got divorced, I hung out in Wyoming for a few years and then decided it was time for me to move back to Oregon.
Yeah.
I landed on Salem. Because have you seen the prices in Tigard and
Yeah,
Portland?
no,
There's like
thank
no
you.
way. And that was in 2016. I was looking at where did I want to settle back.
Right.
My sister lives here with her 5 kids and her husband, and I wanted our kids to grow up with their cousins.
Yeah.
So that's where I settled.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's so awesome. And how was it starting your business in a new, I mean, I know in the area that you're kind of familiar with, but you didn't grow up in Salem.
I did
You grew
not.
up an hour away. And then also you'd been living out of state for a while. So
I knew my sister.
okay, so that was it. So it was basically starting over.
It was. I am not plugging this organization, but or company. But the one thing that was my saving grace is I actually got on. I was home advisor at the time by Angie's List, and I just was like, I need leads, and it was kind of a disaster until you learn how to work the system. So it cost a lot of money, but it brought me so many fabulous leads.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to utilize that how I needed to, just to get my, the ball rolling.
Right.
Within a couple of months of moving here, I joined BNI, and I was in that for 6 years. And that was great connecting with other business owners. And that probably actually is what really generated the passion and why Chamber has been such an amazing fit for me, is because I learned how to network.
Yeah.
I learned the inner workings of different kinds of businesses, how to refer people, all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for my time in BNI. And
yeah, have you replaced kind of what you got from the BNI? Like, have you replaced that in other ways? The Chamber is one of them.
Yeah, the Chamber, they're just different. BNI is a one classification,
right?
Only. And Chamber, you can have 100 real estate agents, and it's
you can have
party.
as many as you want. Yeah, exactly.
And so very different style of networking. And I like the Chamber piece because they focus a lot on different aspects. They have the business advocacy through public policy. They've got the pouring into the younger generation through CTEC and the McLaren Foundation. They've got all the events and the networking, just all the education. It's very different. Not either of them is good or bad. It's just different.
Right.
And it was a great change for me as far as where I was at in my life. And I would not be here without that structure that I had beforehand.
Yeah. So now in the Chamber and maybe other networking groups you're in, since there are multiple probably cleaning companies, how is that for you? Does that affect you negatively, positively? Like what's your thoughts on that?
Great question. Actually, back in BNI, I filled up and I kept getting requests, and I'm like, I can't help them. So I reached out to another BNI chapter, and I made friends with Aurora Reyes. Hi. Plug. And I became pretty good friends with her, and I started referring, and then we became pretty good friends. And then that happened again with Dazzling Bright Cleaning. Right. And these are all people I still refer to and I'm still friends with. It has been so fun to know all these different cleaning companies throughout my time, knowing, are they natural or are they not? Do they clean carpets? Do they do windows? What service area do they have? Because I am not the right fit for everybody, whether it's pricing or personality, honestly, or some people just want a one-man shop and they don't want employees being sent to their house. Yeah. So the more connections I make with my competitors, the better I can serve whoever comes to me for help. Yeah. And so it's been phenomenal. And I think the collaboration over competition is something I really hold on to.
Exactly. It's sometimes it feels counterintuitive to a business owner. Like, I want to, protect, what I have and my potential clients. But as you just said, like, it actually enhances our quality of care for our clients and makes our businesses even better when we collaborate with our competition. As air quotes.
It's kind of ironic because I don't do this much anymore. I passed everything on to my husband. So he's the one out doing estimates and talking to the clients and handling the employees and such. So this is more when I speak, it's before my time with the chamber.
Yep.
When I would go into someone's house, I would actually ask them, have you had a house cleaner before? And they'll say yes or no. And especially if they said, you're the first person we've talked with, I always say, I highly recommend you get at least 3 bids.
Yeah.
I have people I trust. I would be happy to send you recommendations and you can interview my people.
Yeah.
Like, my friends.
Yep.
And more often than not, like, it's ironic. People are like, I'm going with you because I like that you did that. That's not why I do that.
Right.
And I will push that a little bit heavier when I know that we're really full and I could take them, but maybe I don't want to. Just, you know, I like having some wiggle room for if someone calls out sick or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like that makes sense. Like it opens up opportunity for if it's clear that they're not a good fit, that they'll naturally gravitate towards someone else. But if it is you that's a good fit, you know, then they'll just know, like they'll feel confident that yes, Jackie's the one. And if they don't feel confident in that, you probably shouldn't try to get them no matter what. Yeah.
And I think, you know, when I first started out, I was taking anything. Like, I think one of the very first leads I got because I didn't understand how to work the home advisor piece. I got a lead out in like Brownsville, like what, hour plus south. Yes. And I was like, I'll take it. Yeah. Cause I needed work. Right. And now that we have a pretty good clientele and employees, like we don't want to get bigger. So we're pretty much just replacing people we lose. And we have pretty loyal clients and it's so it's nice. Yeah. We don't have a ton of turnover. And so with that, I've had a lot of confidence in being able to say, I don't think we're the best fit for you. And it's okay to say that. Yeah. I think it's respectful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did you determine your target client?
People that have money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that helps.
I'm not kidding though, because cleaning is a luxury thing for most people. Some people it's a necessity because of physical ailments and they literally can't do it. And, you know, but we are a luxury. So when the economy gets hard, what's the first thing to get cut? The things that aren't necessary. Right. And so I say that in a joking manner, but I'm actually serious. So people who have expendable funds and they really value it, we are very relational. I think it's important to understand who you are serving. Right. And create somewhat of a relationship with them, not just treating them as another client. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, and we have a service area. It's just Salem, Kaiser, and just like a part of Turner. And like, if you're out of that, maybe a one-time thing, but I'll just refer out. Right. And really knowing what works. Yeah. When you first started, how did you market yourself? It sounds like now you have such great retention. You don't have to really maybe market yourself like you once did, but yeah. When I first started out just solo, not knowing what I was doing, and I was just sure I'll work for a friend, like I didn't know. And as I got better, he started referring me to his friends, and then it just kind of picked up from there. And so it just grew by word of mouth. Right. When I moved here, I needed assistance because I didn't know anyone, and that's where Home Advisor came in to play. But honestly, a tip for you if you're in any networking group and you're not sure if you want to continue. Something I didn't know if I wanted to continue in my networking group after the first year. So I decided to ask everybody who had ever done business with me. Yeah. Like legitimately did business. I didn't want fake reviews to go on and leave a review on Nextdoor, Yelp, Google, whatever, Facebook, whatever platforms. Yeah. And so people did. And my thought was reviews will last longer than my membership. Right. Yeah. And that honestly gave me a huge like boost in my ratings. And so I get people that organically just find me because of my reviews. And I try to ask people to give us reviews regularly so they stay up to date. Right. But that was really the biggest help. I would say Yelp and Nextdoor were the biggest for a very long time. Yeah, I feel like Nextdoor is really underutilized. Yeah, for home services, it's amazing. Yes, yeah, exactly. And now you have
employees, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How many do you have?
We currently have 6.
Wow.
And kind of the 5 to 7 is where our happy space is. We don't want to grow any bigger. It's more expensive. Honestly, like, because we're on a business podcast, the more employees you get, oftentimes the more overhead you have. And so you're less profitable. We've gone up to 12 at one point, and it was not our thing. The other thing is that we're in people's homes. And if we're coming to your home to clean, you may have met one of our employees before.
Yeah.
But if we only have 5 to 7 employees, it's highly likely that you would meet them again.
Yeah.
If I have 20, 30, 40 on up, you don't know who's coming to your house. And there's a certain level of insecurity from the client that's like, I like to know who's coming in my home.
Yes, I get that. Yeah.
Even though we background check and do all the drug tests, it's just that comfort level. So we enjoy that small family feel.
Yeah. How did you know that it was time to hire someone? Did you just do one at a time when you were first starting out?
Oh gosh. So in Wyoming, I never paid taxes and I got money back. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know how business worked. So when I moved here, I was like, cool. And someone said, you should be an S Corp. I'm like, okay. And then I was like filled up and I hired a friend and paid her by transferring money from my personal account to her account.
Yep.
I'm an S Corp. Like I was doing everything wrong. I'm so thankful that I never got in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
When I got married.
Same. Like you're just winging it. You're like, Yeah.
I didn't even know that you had to fill paperwork out for workman's comp or have them as an employee and pay taxes.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got married to Alan about a year after I moved here, he looks at all the accounts and the finances. He's like, dude, you're embezzling from yourself. What's that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just cleaning, man.
And he said, isn't your best friend a bookkeeper? And he said, I'm sending you away for the weekend. I don't want to see you until this resembles a legal business. And so that's what we did. And it was so stressful for me because that's not my thing.
Right.
I'm like, and my friend would ask me a question like, what was this expense on this date? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stop interrogating me. She goes, she literally goes, dude, I'm just asking a question. I knew nothing. So a big piece of what I encourage business owners to do is find out what you do well, what you enjoy doing.
Yes.
Dive into that with your business and outsource the rest as you have the funds to do.
Yeah.
It will change your world.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. What other pieces to owning a business did you kind of find out just by, stumbling upon it that someone that's thinking of starting a business should know about?
Systems.
Yeah.
Systems are king.
Yeah.
I was organized, but I was doing old school and it took forever to write a schedule. It took forever to contact clients and all of the things. And I didn't have any automation set up. And I was actually mystery shopped by a pretty large company up in Portland that was considering moving to Salem. And she reached out to me and said, hey, I'm so-and-so. We mystery shopped you. And I was like, wow. Kind of freaked me out. And she said, will you clean my house? Because it was too expensive to pay her employees drive time and all of that from Portland.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure. And I showed up to clean when she hired me. And she said, what are you doing here?
Oh.
Cleaning?
Yeah.
No. What are you doing here? I'm here to clean. She's like, okay. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I am not kidding. I started tearing up because she goes, you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. And she said, and she asked me a couple of really particular details in the cleaning community. Like, what are your revenue levels at? What are, because there's this I don't know what you call it, a spot where you're going through hell, at this certain revenue in the cleaning world because you're big enough to start hiring, but not big enough to outsource things. And then you're you're not, it's
you're
really
doing it all yourself. So it's
it's challenging. And I literally started.
You were there. Yeah.
And she goes, can I take you under my wing and mentor you?
Oh my gosh.
And my husband sorry, Joanna. My husband was like, she's trying to steal our company. And I was like, no, she's not. She ended up being quite the mentor to me. And she's the one who introduced me to my software I use and the systems.
Wow.
And one thing she told me is you should be out of the field. You don't need to be doing this. And what I learned is I tried that and I hated it because that was her situation. She did really good on the admin.
Got it. Yeah.
Didn't want to be in the field. I was exact opposite. So once I learned that and we hired an admin person, it changed everything.
Yeah.
And so a passion of mine is when I meet people who are in the cleaning community or anyone who's talked with me at any length of time, if you know someone that has a cleaning company, I want to talk to them. I love sharing what I've learned, my experience, and just information is king, where it's like, here it is, do what you want to do with it. Yeah. Because other people had poured into me for free. I think it's only right to pass that on. Right.
Yeah. I think that's so great. And it's so important. And, and you know, what you said, it translates to pretty much any other industry and business, you know, like the fact that if there's something that you're weak in or you hate doing, even if you can do it, like if it's one of those things, like leverage it or, you know, hire someone for it, like, because that's the only way that you'll be thriving and like enjoying what you're doing.
There's a book that I recently read called The 7 Types of Working Genius.
Oh, okay.
And phenomenal book. And once you read it, you're going to be like analyzing every single person in your life. Yeah. But it takes 7 different styles of a person. And the survey is the questionnaire thing that they have an option to do is totally worth it. So for example, one of the traits is tenacity, the ability to follow things through to completion.
Oh yeah.
Like if I could score negative on something, I would score negative. I am on the opposite side of like head in the clouds, big dreaming, just constantly brainstorming ideas. I love it. I feed off of it. I get excited. I think that's why I do well with my job here is with Chambers, because I love listening to businesses and my mind is like shooting out, like, who can I connect with them with? What ideas do I have here? And I throw that at them, at them and say, these are just ideas, whatever sticks. And then they can take it and run with it. And creative ways of trying to connect other businesses together. So for me, I've learned that when it comes to tenacity, if I'm able to hire that out or able to have someone's help with it, I will be a much happier person to be around.
Exactly. That makes sense. That book sounds really good. Yeah. I heard another analogy. It's not exactly what you mentioned, but just something that it reminded me of is, you know, just all of kind of like what you said, like all of the different like working styles and personality types that, you know, really make a business thrive. And kind of the idea is like, if you're in a restaurant, you go to like a fine dining restaurant, the chef is not the one being the host and seating you and or bussing your table or taking your order or anything. Like they could, I mean, the chef would have the ability to, but where they really shine and the way that the restaurant thrives is everybody in their place doing what they're good at and what they want to be doing. And so, but I think it takes humility and strength to recognize that, you know, and give trust to somebody else.
Very true. And one piece in what you said reminded me is that I've run my business with my husband for our entire marriage.
Yeah.
That is really challenging. And I think that you can probably relate as well. We love you, honey.
Promise.
And when you're operating with your spouse, it's really challenging to disconnect and have like marriage time and family time without business interfering. So anyone who's thinking about going into business with your spouse, I highly, highly recommend having some kind of business coach.
Yes.
Help you or somebody to be able to speak into your life that you'll listen to, because I've seen marriages get destroyed because they run their business together and it takes the front seat. And business should be enhancing your life, not harming it. And you chose that person for a reason, and you want to be with that person. So don't let this other entity that is replaceable ultimately take the place of why you guys came together.
Exactly. Yeah. What's kind of one of the key things that had to click for you guys to be able to successfily stay married and run the business?
Giving control away. I am very controlling. And I was so used to doing everything on my own. Yeah. And Alan recognized that, and he said, hey, why don't I take over managing the supply orders? And I'm like, okay, but our employees were really used to coming to me for, hey, I need more, another feather duster.
Right.
And I would just supply that to them. And I think it was years, like, I'm not joking, years for me to finally say, ask Alan for that.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard to change that. And I was always so used to being the person. I think that it validated me in some way where it's like, oh, I'm needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They come to me and I can meet that need. And,
of course. Yeah.
This probably applies to a lot of businesses, but especially in my cleaning world friends, they really have a difficult time in dealing with rejection. This is kind of tied together. When a client cancels services, they're so quick to say, oh, but I can adjust the pricing. Or when someone wants to hire them and say, oh, it's okay, I can do this. And not standing firm on this is the price of the service. Right. You don't go into Walmart and negotiate the price of the TV.
Yes.
That's the price of the service.
Right. Yeah.
But it's so easy to take personal, like to be affected personally and think it's about you that they're rejecting. It's not.
Right.
For whatever reason, they have a different value on the money that they're paying for the service, and that has nothing to do with you. Yeah. And it's really hard to wrap your mind around. And so for me, it's always been tying my value to being needed or being hired or whatnot. And it took a lot of work, a lot of my husband teaching me to separate myself from the entity. Yeah. And that the business is the business and I'm Jackie. They're rejecting the business pricing, the business, whatever.
Not you.
Not me.
Ooh, yeah.
It's challenging.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever compromised to that and kind of learned the hard way?
Oh my gosh. There's only ever been one client that when we negotiated prices with them, they stuck with us.
Oh, wow.
The only reason she's not here anymore is she passed away and we loved her. Everybody else dropped us.
Wow.
And it's generally speaking that when people want to negotiate, they're like the coupon finders, like what's the next best deal?
Yep.
And a lot of times when people are looking for deals or they negotiate, they might not be in the financial situation that they can afford the services. Oh, yeah. And it's just a matter of time before they drop.
They're not in that target market that we talked about at the beginning. Absolutely. Yeah.
So as long as you're bringing a valuable product or valuable service and it's reasonably priced, you shouldn't need to negotiate. If you're getting people dropping you, then you need to look at, is it me? Right? Yeah. Is it something wrong with my service?
Right.
And evaluate that. Yeah. Is it because I hired or I took the wrong client on? There's a lot.
Now, going back to what we talked about right before that, have you ever given control to somebody else, whether it was, your husband or an employee, and they messed up? Like, how did you process through that? Because that's kind of the worst fear.
Yeah.
And how did you work through it?
Who am I going to throw under the bus? I'll throw my husband under the bus. He can handle it.
He's great.
But it is.
I mean, we've all messed up. So, I mean, it's not just him, obviously.
I think in general, because I've done the same things and I've messed up as well. A couple of different examples would be my husband, whoever, completely messed up on the bid process, and it ended up being like 3 times as much as we quoted. However, I am very big on, this is the price I gave. I will honor that price.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll communicate to them what happened and they'll like pay a little extra, which is always nice, but I don't expect it. Like, we honor our pricing and then we learn and adjust for the next time.
Yeah.
And my husband took over these last 6 months. And so he's been going out and doing estimates. And there's sometimes where he's like, whoops.
Yep.
It's just a learning experience.
Yeah. He learned that. That's the kind of the best way to learn.
It is. Yeah. Some other ones is for those of you out there needing to fire clients, it's actually not a bad thing to do. There have been times where we've realized that it's just not the right fit.
Right.
However, the way you go about firing a client, it's really important to keep the relationship intact and the reputation intact.
Yeah.
Just because you have something that is true doesn't mean you need to say it. I have learned this in my personal life. I've learned it in business life.
Yes.
And it's okay just to say, we've realized that it's just not the right fit for us.
Yep.
There's no need to explain.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. And then just connect them with somebody else typically or.
And I've done that. Yeah. I will actually, depending on the dynamic or the situation, I will already have called one of my friends and say, hey, I have somebody not the right fit for us because of XYZ. Is this something that you're willing to take on?
Yeah.
And they'll say yes or no. And then I find one of my friends that I trust. And then I tell them, but I did talk to a friend of mine and they are owner operated. And they said that they would love to meet you. Can I connect you?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Keep it positive and, Can
be challenging.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially when you want validation and explaining. I always want to explain myself and why I want to do what I want to do. And it's like, oh, I don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. So in closing, what would you say is just a piece of advice or just a strategy or just something you learned that can be given to a business owner or entrepreneur as they start their business?
Keep in mind why you started your business. It is so easy to get pulled in so many different directions that you lose sight of that. And it's really easy when you see the money and you're like, oh, I can make all that money.
Yeah.
And then you sacrifice your time. And I had to look at what does success look like for us. And I think it looks different for all sorts of people. And for me, success in our business was having the financial security with the time freedom. Yeah. And the way that we structured our business, we've been given that, which is the only reason why I've been able to step into working with Chamber is because we had that time freedom and we set it up like that. So my husband was able pretty much just to come in and just help manage, not working in it. Yeah. And some people love working. Just keep it in check that that your goals are reasonable and that you're not, working yourself to death. Yeah. There's that's
what I do.
You're also so good. Like just the little I know about you and the way you serve and you pour into the youth and your church and all the different things. So
but I love that you said just like keep in mind your version of success, whatever that means. And a lot of the time that doesn't mean money. It's something different, like you said, the time freedom, financial freedom. Yeah.
So I think that would probably be the key takeaway.
That's really good and really true. So, well, thank you for being here. This was so much fun and you dropped a lot of wisdom for us. So
I hope.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks, Jackie. And thank you, SMI Real Estate and Collier Law for this episode.